Man, it's been a little while since I talked about Octopath Traveler on the channel. You know why? Because I've been busy playing it. And Stardew Valley. And Valkyria Chronicles 4. You know, just other games. But also Octopath. And as of this moment, I can officially say what I assumed months ago when I talked about why I was excited for it. That it's a pretty good game. Over this long experience of gameplay then, what stood out to me as the reasons why other people should play the game? Well, that's exactly what I'll be getting into here. So, sit back, relax, and travel down one of 8 paths. Or all 8 paths at once. Or alternating 4 paths as I kind of did it. Whatever, not important. I'm just sure that by the time you finish this video, you will agree with me that this game is better than its name indicates. Octopath Traveler is a JRPG produced by Square Enix and Acquire, released exclusively for the Nintendo Switch as part of the Switch's efforts to compete with the PS4 for supremacy in the JRPG wars. Unfortunately for the Switch, the PlayStation still has Persona 5, but this video is not about Persona 5, but about Octopath Traveler. It is a turn-based combat JRPG that follows 8 characters around the continent of Orstera, with a lot of unique and engaging mechanics both in and out of combat. It released in July of this year, 2018 for future folks, and quickly gained critical praise. That praise, along with the surprising hype around the game, led to it also being quite successful commercially as well, to the point that Square Enix had to apologize for not stocking enough physical copies. You just know they were quite happy when writing that apology message. Sorry, our game was more successful than we thought. Octopath Traveler was inspired by many of Square Enix's previous successes, from Bravely Default to the classic Final Fantasy games. It has a beautiful 2D HD, as they termed it, viewpoint, and pixel art that pulled on people's nostalgia until they opened their pocketbooks. What, though, do you do in Octopath Traveler? You travel. Octopaths. Is that not enough of a description? No? Well, I tried to keep the video short. The game follows 8 travelers: Ophilia, Cyrus, Tressa, Olberic, Primrose, Alfyn, Therion, and Hannet, and their stories. Each character has a unique class and story. The stories are split up into 4 chapters based in specific locations around the continent of Orstera. You choose a character to start with, I went with Ophilia, and can travel around and recruit the other characters to join your party. The only impact the choice of who you start with has is that you can't remove them from your party until you complete their path. While the other characters are all in the same party, the game doesn't have an overarching story. These are simply 8 stories blended into one game. That structure allows each character to have many shining moments as the main character of their story, but it also means interactions between the characters are minimal. This part was kind of a disappointment for some people who are used to the tight, cohesive, fun-loving groups of many other JRPGs. I'm okay with it because the stories and characters hold up well on their own. I'd go into further details on the stories, but that would make the video too long. So I'll say that I liked the stories. Each one was unique and brought its own thoughts and engagement to the game. I'd even call some of the stories thought-provoking, which is usually a good indication of solid storytelling. The characters outside of the main 8 were also surprisingly well done. Each path had at least one major supporting character, and most had more than that. These characters, despite being unplayable, enhanced the experience. The villains, for those paths that had direct villains, were also well done, typically highlighting the internal struggles of the main character they were facing. The storytelling was effective, and the characters both in the main cast and supporting cast were fun to interact with when given the chance. The game as a whole has good writing that suits each path the player can take, and still feels like a full world with a lot to explore and discover about its history and background. Where Octopath Traveler really shines, though, is the gameplay, which splits into 2 parts. out-of-combat gameplay, mainly involving side quests and using the unique path actions of the characters to solve problems, and combat gameplay, which involves fighting enemies, unsurprisingly. I'll start with out-of-combat gameplay. There are numerous side quests that you can pick up from townspeople within the towns. These quests are well varied and require the path actions of the characters to succeed in. The path actions are a unique skill that only that one character can use associated with their main class. Ophilia uses Guide to get townspeople to follow her, while Therion can steal items from people. Each character has another character whose skill accomplishes the same thing, but they are limited in different ways. Let me explain. Alfyn and Cyrus can inquire and scrutinize respectively. Both skills, when they succeed, accomplish the same thing: get information out of townspeople, which can reveal hidden items or secrets. Cyrus, though, has only a percentage chance of succeeding, and if he fails enough, he can't attempt it anymore in that town. Alfyn succeeds every time, but is limited by his level as to who he can inquire with. If he isn't high enough level, he's out of luck. It's a strong system and means that most side quests can be solved in multiple ways. Choosing how you go about it is a big part of the fun of this portion of gameplay. Combat gameplay is also extremely fun, and I'd say one of the best systems in the game. Each enemy is given certain weaknesses to weapons and elements. They also have a shield counter, and once you've attacked their weaknesses enough, they break, losing a turn and allowing you to do massive amounts of damage to them. The boost system also allows attacks to either become more powerful or numerous, and proper use of these two systems will lead you to victory. Fairly simple, but it contains greater complexity with strategy and allows different characters to adopt different roles when facing certain enemies. Let's say I have my main party of Ophilia, Cyrus, Primrose, and Tressa. One enemy has weakness to wind and dagger, and another has weakness to staff and ice. For the first enemy, Primrose and Tressa are my main attackers, with Ophilia and Cyrus in support roles, and for the second enemy, it's the reverse. I like that the varied enemies with distinct weaknesses forces me to adapt with my party to the specific situation. It gets even better once characters gain their second class, bringing in even greater options of how to defeat the enemies. The bosses also continue this with various unique mechanics, such as changing weaknesses or hiding behind smaller enemies. Some bosses, I'll grant you, have abilities that are downright ridiculous at points, but the difficulty, while intense throughout the game, rarely made me think it was unfair. A balance not all JRPGs are able to pull off. Much of the time I spent in-game was in combat because this game doesn't have extensive story or cutscenes. Despite that, it is still a lot of fun to go back to even after 60 plus hours. The presentation is all in all phenomenal. I've been gushing over the art style of this game for literally months now, even prior to release. Each area is well designed with cleverly hidden chests all over the environment and beautifully rendered buildings, water, trees, you name it. The characters are also quite distinct and well designed, and I fell in love with the models of the dual class characters. When a character gets a second class, their outfit changes to a blend of the two class outfits, and the way they handled them was incredible. I think half the reason I'd ever change a character's class was to see their new outfit. This spectacle of design also extends to the supporting characters, who were also well designed with great attention to detail across the board. The music, I already knew going in, was going to be a great part of the game, and it did not disappoint. Every track is memorable. The traversal tracks are well suited for the environment, the character themes are powerful, and the battle themes are intense. The music functions exactly as it should function in such a game, enhancing the whole while also standing extremely well on its own. I think the only issue I could ever point out for the presentation is the occasional issue with lighting, where setting the dark cavern realistically also makes it hard to navigate. Octopath Traveler is a solid game. A great combat system, exceptional art direction and music, a good group of characters supported by good writing, and a plethora of gameplay options to vary how everyone plays the game, from dual classes to path actions. Octopath Traveler introduces new mechanics and twists on old mechanics that help the game stand out. These mechanics also help it escape the grind. Looking back, it feels strange knowing I've spent so many hours completing this game because it didn't feel that way. There's even interesting post-game content I'm looking forward to exploring. I do have a few nitpicks, such as some ridiculous boss abilities, some lighting problems, and the occasional overly grindy sections. Overall though, this game has been well worth the ride, and I recommend it to any RPG fans. I'm interested to see what they'll do in the sequel that is apparently already in the works. I may in fact have a video coming about what I think they should do for a sequel, but not for a little while at least. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Octopath Traveler, and I hope you do too. I hope you liked the video, and I hope you have a great day and happy gaming.